Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Marisa. If you're new here, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. I made it to Clinton, New Jersey, just now, and finally got out of Allentown, back on the road. I just felt the Lord like last night and this morning just be like, okay, we've rested. We're not sick. Let's go. We're not quite there yet. And, I kind of know where we're going. I waited to say it because honestly, I kept going to the Lord and being like, are you sure? Do we have to? Like, why? So, last week, or whenever I first got to Allentown, I don't remember the day. So it was over a week ago because I've been waiting there for my package for a minute, and then I was sick. So, well over a week ago, he had told me go north, go north, go north. And then, so I went north and I went all the way to, Scranton, and then I came back down. He said Allentown. So I had to come back down to Allentown. And so when I got to Allentown, he said, when I was praying and about like, where are we going, and so I have to say that when he first said go north, of course your mind's like, well, what's in the north? Like, what's there, right? Like, so I'm like, why would he say go north? What's in the north? And the fleshly part of me is like, yay, let's go to Maine and find a cabin in the woods and live off the land, like game and fish, and like that's my dream come true. Live in solitude and peace and quiet, and in the backcountry. And so, but when I got to Scranton and he said come back down, I was like, oh no, like we're inching our way eerily close to New York City. And so I just prayed to the Lord, like, Lord, are you tricking me? Are you tricking me into a giant city again? Like I went to LA and I was terrified because I don't like big cities and I'm a country girl. We don't, it's not my cup of tea. It took me like 6 months to learn how to ride a bus, and so I don't know how to get on subways and I've been to New York City when I was a kid. I really wanted to go, when I was a kid. And so when I was like 14, I worked all summer and saved up every dime because I'm the oldest of 9 kids. So my parents couldn't afford to take the whole family to New York City. So they said, if you work and save your money and we'll match you, and whatever you save up will take you to New York. So I did. And me and my mom and my dad went, and we met my uncle there, and he gave us like a tour of New York City. And, you see it in the movies and stuff. And so you don't understand, especially when you grow up in the South, like you don't really understand that like way of life until you actually encounter it. So I remember being overwhelmed when we got there because I was like, oh, this is not Kansas anymore. This is not like the South anymore. And, when you grow up in the South and you're so accustomed to friendly, hospitable, people that are very talkative, and there's no such thing as a stranger in the South because people will literally talk to anyone. And then you go to a place that's harsh like New York, it's a culture shock, and I've encountered that many times, like leaving this safety of the South and then going out to other places. I'm always like, man, these people are rude, because in the South, it's just like, it's a friendly, laid back atmosphere. Right. And so anyway, when I first got to Allentown, he said, I was praying about, the whole thing. I was praying about everything. Like, what do I do? And what is this? And all that stuff, And I remember that night he said to me, cast your net on the other side. That was the first time he said it to me. And immediately when he said it, I was like, it felt like it had a double meaning, right? Like, how sometimes the Lord will say something and it's got a double meaning. It's not only just do it again, it's cast your net on the other side. So the last time I casted my net on the West Coast, LA, the biggest city on the West Coast, now it's like cast your net on the East Coast. What is on the East Coast? Well, New York. And so, but like sometimes the Lord will say something and it has a double meaning. Like it's like inferred in his words almost. They carry some kind of power, and it's like it's like a knowing that, oh no, Lord, oh, can we talk about this? Do I get a vote? Like, can I cast my vote for New York? You know what I mean? And so the reason I've been battling it is because, again, the old fears, right? So when I went to California, one of the worst parts of the walking was looking for Jesus on every corner and not finding him, not finding any Christians for months. I think it was like my second or third month there that I finally found a group of Christians out on the street. I did have one encounter with a really cool church once, but it wasn't until I met Pastor Phil that I was shown true hospitality, true, Jesus. And so that took 3 months. And when you're walking and people are throwing trash on you and being inhospitable and not letting you use the bathroom inside, because you have your suitcase and things like that, 3 months of harshness. Believe me when I say you are scanning the streets for Jesus everywhere you can. Like, is Jesus here? Is he anywhere? Can I find him? You're looking for Christians, and even a lot of the Christians I encountered, the church people didn't portray Jesus, right? And so one day I was walking up on a church and the pastor was standing outside with another lady, and they saw me coming and they went inside and slammed the door right in my face. And so I was just like, wow, where am I? Like, what twilight zone of Hades is this? Like it just, and then you walk past all these churches and there's crucifix, a cross on the sign on the building, but Jesus is nowhere in sight. It is so disheartening. And so imagine my thought process when he says go to New York City, because that is literally the heartbeat of Babylon. Like, that is, if Babylon had a heart, it would be New York City. And so I'm like, Jesus, take the wheel. Like please, like, let's talk about this, and so I have been just dragging my heels, and the Lord, I was just like, Lord, you might have to carry me kicking and screaming on this one. Like, just, and not to mention like finding a place to park and driving in those streets and that sort of thing. So I'm trying so hard not to like anticipate hard things, but my mind is running wild, and like I said before, when I went to California, I took no thought for my own life. I just got a plane ticket, got my cat, got my suitcase, and left. Didn't ask questions, didn't anticipate anything. Fearless, boldness, courageous, or stupidity, whatever you want to call it, that's what happened. This time, I'm like, it's like, I'm thinking of like 50 ways I'm going to die. Like this time I'm like, oh, like all the bad things are going through my head. And I'm just like, so whether that's wisdom or from experience or just fear from the last time, it's a battle because, I know, like, I'm not naive anymore as to thinking like, oh, it's just going to be roses and lemon drops just because the Lord tells you to go somewhere. Right. And so, so I'm, there's a fight in me right now, and I know where we need to go. I just made it to New Jersey because I'm like, let's just get closer. We might not get there today, but let's just get closer, and it's just like overcoming the fear one step at a time instead of jumping in head first and don't take no thought for your life. I just don't have that in me right now. Like I said, I just don't have any, whatever that was, don't have it right now. And so, but I do have obedience, and we'll get there. I'm just working my way in that direction. And so basically, I do know of one church. So I've been like, for the past probably 6 or 7 months straight, I have been listening to probably nothing but David Wilkerson sermons. And I know that he started that church. He started, Teen Challenge back in the 50s or whenever he started it. And he started Times Square Church, I don't know, 80s or 90s or whenever. And it's still there today. He's passed, but the church is still there. So, I do want to go check out that church, because at least I know I'll find some real Christians, hopefully, like in Times Square, which is so crazy to say. Like, the thought of that is, but I know that was a man of God, and so hopefully the church hasn't changed much since he, passed on and turned it over to other people. But who knows what I'll find, and who knows where the Lord is leading me. I have no idea. Like I said, it's just the remembering of walking the streets of LA and looking for Jesus, looking for a Christian, looking for kindness, and just having trash thrown on you and people spitting on you and mocking you and yelling out their windows, cuss slurs and cuss words at you. And churches. I had one, church. I had to go into a Korean church when I was in California. I just wrote about it the other day, the story. I was writing it in my book, but, I was trapped, and the church was at an intersection, and the intersection was like a very busy freeway type road, but there was no sidewalk. And so I'd come up over a canyon, which there was no sidewalk on the canyon. So it was treacherous getting down. And then it dead ended into like a freeway, but there was like on the other side of it, but I couldn't get to it by walking, right? Unless I walked on the freeway. So I was scared, and I was like, what do I do? And there was a church at the intersection. And so and they had a row of church vans, and I think it was a Korean church. I want to say Korean. I knew they were like Asian, and the sign was, I'm 99.9% it was a Korean church. Regardless, it doesn't matter. I just know they had a row of church vans out front, and it was a big church, And I went up because it wasn't Sunday, so they weren't open, but they were open. Their lobby was open and stuff. So I went up to see if like maybe somebody there would just give me a ride across the freeway so I could get to the other side, because I was literally trapped. And I didn't want to walk Peppa on the freeway, and I didn't want to walk on the freeway. And so I didn't even want to drive on the California freeway, let alone walk on it. So I just felt the Lord say, go in there and ask him if someone will take you across the street, right? And just to where the sidewalks were. And so I did that. And as soon as I walked in the building, I had my suitcase, I had Peppa on my back. And as soon as I walked in the foyer, they had like this welcome desk, and this guy was sitting behind it, and he sees me. And as soon as he sees me, he jumps up and runs around the counter, and he's screaming in another language. And then I was like, I don't know what he's saying. It was so frantic, and then he pushes me out the door, like pushes me. And I'm like, whoa. And then he's like, get out. And I understood that. And I was like, whoa, I'm so sorry. I was like, but he was so in my face that I just reached in my shirt and I pulled out my cross necklace and I showed it to him. And then my purse is like one of those purses that you strap across you. So I pulled it, and I had my Bible in it, and I pulled it out and I said, look, do you not believe in this book? And I'm pointing because I don't know if he speaks English or not. And you could see the look of like conviction on this man's face, but he still stood on that he didn't speak English, right? And so I was like, well, he'll understand this. And I turned around in the parking lot and I just wiped my feet like I was shaking the dust off. And I was like, he might not understand English, but he understands this. And so I walked back to the street and I just stood there and I just prayed. And I'm like, Lord, make a way where there is no way. I don't know what to do right now. And immediately I hear the guy yelling from way across the parking lot, and he's like waving his arms. and he's running towards the vans, and he jumps in the van and he drives across the parking lot and pulls up in front of me, and he's like, in perfect English, he's like, I'm sorry, I'll take you wherever you want to go, get in. The Holy Spirit convicted him. Once he saw my Bible and my cross, because I was like, are you not a Christian? Like, why is the cross on the wall? Why are you pushing me? But the Holy Spirit convicted this man, and he pulls up and he's like, I'll take you anywhere you want to go. And I'm like, well, look at that. It's a miracle. You got the gift of tongues in 3.5 seconds. It's crazy. But, I was just like, wow. And he took me, I just needed a ride across the street. I went across the street and got out, and he even gave me like $10 for lunch. And so the Lord got a hold of him. But what I'm saying is, there's a stray cat. No, I go, what the heck? Sorry. Distraction squirrel. The Lord will, when you're looking for Jesus on the street and you don't even find him in the churches, or you do, but it's like a fight. It's like you got to confront the lukewarmness of the church and until they're convicted. It's a hard thing to look for Jesus and not find him, especially when you're walking the streets of what's supposed to be a Christian nation, right? And the churches are so busy these days chasing titles and glory clouds and holy laughter rolling around on the ground, and they have forgotten their first love. They have forgotten what Jesus told us to do. Feed them, clothe them, visit them in prison, pray for them when they're sick. The poor and the widowed and the orphan. So if we neglect the weightier matters of the actual things that Jesus told us to do, just so we can chase anointings and titles and glory clouds and all this stuff, we might as well just pack it up. We might as well just take the crucifixes off our walls. We might as well just, quit, because everything we're doing is in vain. It's pointless. And if the salt loses its flavor, it's good for nothing, so might as well just throw it out into the dunghill, trample on it. So I'm trying really hard to, not remember all those things that happen in Los Angeles, because, my initial thought process, well, if Los Angeles was that bad, New York is going to be way worse, way worse. And so, but I'm trying really, 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 really hard not to have the fear, and like I said, I think I used to just whether I was fearless or just stupid or naive. I'm not anymore, and so, I spent the last year battling anxiety, and I've never had anxiety in my entire life. I've never had depression, but yeah, I was depressed, and I was in a pit of despair almost for a few months, not the whole year, but for a couple months, especially when I got back from California. And cause I'm thinking, did I do all that for nothing? Am I just crazy? Did I hear the Lord? Why did I endure all that? If nothing came true that God said, what was the point? And so I'm having this overwhelming sense of fear and anxiety of maybe I just made it up all in my head, and maybe this was all in vain, and maybe I'm crazy, and maybe I need and so I've questioned my sanity, not even going into it, but coming out of it, right? And then this year I was riddled with panic attacks, and so it wasn't until I found the cold plunge, which helped me tremendously come out of that depression and that anxiety. It wasn't, and just time of processing everything that had happened, and I realized I had to it took time. It took a lot of time to come out of all that and to process everything that happened. And so now that he's asked me to do it again, cash net on the other side, I know what that means. I know he means New York, and I am just trying to take a deep breath and white knuckle the steering wheel all the way to New York, and so, but like I said, I don't have the same, expectations, I expected when I went to California that a door would open right up. I didn't know that Pastor Phil was the only Christian in California. You know what I mean? Like, it was like finding a needle in a haystack. You know what I mean? Like, I know the Lord led me to his door because, like, I'm just saying, and so, I'm just trying so hard not to presume that it's going to be terrible and have fears about things I haven't even experienced yet. But I would be remiss if I didn't, also acknowledge that, I'm a little bit afraid, and so, I think that's just natural, I feel like that's natural. It's like a person who gets in a really bad car wreck. They don't want to immediately drive again, It takes a while to get comfortable in a car. When I got in my wreck a few years ago, I got my wreck in 2020. I didn't drive again until this past year. So 2024. Because the wreck was so bad and I didn't want to get behind the wheel of a car. I mean, I've driven on occasion, but not normal, like regular driving, until this year. And so, yeah, I mean, you can just go through something that makes you just not want to do it again for a minute. And anyway, but I trust the Lord. And so, and this whole time has been different and everything feels different. So I just know that, like, anything is possible. Like, anything is possible. And my faith might not be strong, but my obedience is. And so I'm just gonna obey, and so we are working our way. I'll probably spend the night here and then go into the city in the morning. 'Cause I really want to try to, hit that church service if I can in the morning. So, but I mean, on Sunday morning. So I want to, today I need to Google some things, about New York, like how to park and, where the best places to car camp are and things like that. Because, I mean, it's New York City. It's not like a quiet little town, So there's just some things I need to do tonight. So I probably won't go today, but I will probably, go ahead and go tomorrow and, so I can go to church on Sunday. So anyway, so we're going to New York City. Jesus, take the wheel. Jesus, take the wheel. Like, why, Lord? Why? So either I am, like, we're going to find out real soon. Am I really, really crazy, or did I hear the Lord? Like, we're just going to find out. Like, this will be the ultimate, like, if I'm just crazy after this, then I probably am just going to go commit myself to a mental institution. I'm just saying, like, I'm probably going to go check in and not check back out. But, anyway, I love you guys. Pray for me. Talk to you soon. Bye.